The intercepted call, the silence of deep space, was broken only by the steady hum of life. Support systems aboard Sentinel-7. Commander Sarah Chun stood at the observation deck, watching distant stars twinkle against the black canvas of the universe. After 15 years of military service, she had requested this posting to the Outer Rim Monitoring Station. She thought it would be peaceful. She was wrong. The emergency alarm shattered the quiet morning shift. Sarah's boots echoed against the metal corridors as she rushed toward the communications bay. Dr. Marcus Webb was already hunched over his console, his weathered face illuminated by cascading data streams. "What do we have, Marcus?" Sarah asked, settling into the command chair beside him. "Something big," Webb replied, his fingers dancing across the holographic interface. "I've been tracking this signal for the past 20 minutes. It's not human, and it's not from any known species in our databases." Lieutenant Jake Torres burst through the door, still fastening his uniform jacket. At 26, he was the youngest officer on the station, but his tactical skills had earned him Sarah's respect. "Sorry I'm late, Commander." "The alarm caught me in the middle of my workout," Jake said, slightly out of breath. Sarah nodded toward the main display. "Marcus, show us what you've got." The screen flickered to life, displaying a complex waveform pattern. The signal pulsed with an irregular rhythm, like a heartbeat under stress. Webb adjusted the filters, and suddenly voices emerged from the static. The language was alien, but the universal translator began working immediately. "This is Fleet Commander Zara of the Kalari Exodus Fleet," the voice crackled through the speakers. "Emergency broadcast to all Therian vessels. We are under attack by Vorthic forces. Our defensive fleet has been destroyed. 3 million civilians aboard our transport ships. We cannot hold them much longer. Requesting immediate assistance. Transmitting coordinates." The transmission cut to static, then repeated. Sarah felt her stomach drop. 3 million civilians. The number was staggering. "Marcus, run a full analysis on that signal." "I want to know everything about it," Sarah ordered. Webb's fingers flew across his console. "The signal is heavily encrypted, but I'm breaking through their security protocols. Give me a few minutes." Jake stepped closer to the display. "Commander, who are the Kalari, and what's this about Therion vessels?" Sarah pulled up the Galactic database on her personal tablet. "The Kalari are a peaceful species from the Andara system. They're known for their advanced shield technology and diplomatic nature. As for the Therians..." She paused, scrolling through the data. "They're a military alliance about 50 light years from here. Strong defensive capabilities, but they keep to themselves." Webb looked up from his console, his expression grim. "I've got bad news. The signal isn't just reaching us. It's been broadcasting for over 6 hours. If the Therians were going to respond, they would have done so by now." "Maybe they're on their way," Jake suggested hopefully. "Negative," Webb shook his head. "I've been monitoring all frequencies. There's no response signal, no acknowledgement, nothing. Those Kalari ships are on their own." Sarah stared at the repeating coordinates on the screen. The location was in neutral space, about 8 hours away at maximum speed. Her mind raced through the implications. 3 million civilians under attack by an aggressive empire with no help coming. "Commander," Jake said quietly, "what are your orders?" Sarah knew what she should do. Follow protocol. Report the situation to Earth Command and wait for instructions. The Sentinel-7 was a monitoring station, not a warship. They had one small research vessel, the Pioneer, equipped with basic sensors and minimal weapons. Against a Vorthic fleet, they would be like a mouse facing a pack of wolves, but 3 million innocent lives hung in the balance. "Marcus, tell me about the Vorthic Empire," Sarah said, her voice steady despite the turmoil in her thoughts. Webb pulled up another data file. aggressive expansionist species. They've been conquering smaller civilizations for the past 50 years. They're known for their ruthless tactics and powerful warships. Their standard attack formation consists of heavy cruisers supported by fighter squadrons. What about their technology? Superior to most species in terms of raw firepower, but they rely heavily on brute force. They're not known for tactical innovation. Sarah stood and walked to the viewport, looking out at the stars. Somewhere out there, families were huddled in terror as their ships came under attack. Children who might never see another sunrise. Parents desperately trying to protect their loved ones. "Commander Chun," Jake said, his voice barely above a whisper, "we can't just stand by and watch genocide happen." Sarah turned to face her crew. Webb was watching her with knowing eyes. He had served with her during the Meridian conflict, where they had learned the cost of following orders without question. Jake's young face showed the same determination she had felt at his age. "You're right, Jake," Sarah said firmly. "But we also can't take on a Vorthic fleet in direct combat. We'd be destroyed in minutes. Then what do we do?" Jake asked Sarah. "Move to the tactical display, studying the coordinates of the Kalari fleet. We get creative." "Marcus, what's the status of the Pioneer?" Asterisk, fully operational. "The stealth systems were just upgraded last month. We could get close without being detected." "And our defensive capabilities?" Webb smiled grimly. "We've got the best sensor array in this sector, adaptive camouflage, and emergency medical facilities. Not much in terms of weapons, but we're fast and hard to find." Sarah made her decision. "Jake, prep the Pioneer for immediate departure. Full stealth configuration. Marcus, I want you to monitor all frequencies and prepare translation protocols for Kalari communications." "Commander," Jake said, his eyes wide, "are we really doing this?" "We're going to try," Sarah replied. 3 million people are counting on someone to help them. If the Therians won't answer their call, then humanity will." Webb stood from his console, his expression serious. "Sarah, you know this could be considered an act of war. We're talking about intervening in a conflict between two alien species. I know the risks, Marcus, but I also know that we swore an oath to protect innocent life wherever we find it. The Kalari aren't our enemies, they're victims." The next hour passed in a blur of activity. Sarah filed a report with Earth Command, marking it as routine monitoring data. She knew that by the time the bureaucrats read it and made a decision, the crisis would be over one way or another. Jake worked frantically to prepare the Pioneer, loading emergency medical supplies and what few defensive weapons they had. The ship was designed for research, not combat, but its advanced stealth systems and speed would have to be enough. Marcus established contact with the Kalari fleet, sending a coded message that help was coming. The response was immediate and filled with desperate hope. "Unknown vessel, this is Commander Zara. Are you from the Therian Alliance?" "Negative, Commander Zara. This is Commander Sarah Chun of the human vessel Pioneer. We received your distress call and are en route to assist." There was a long pause. Then Zara's voice returned, filled with confusion and gratitude. "Humans? But this signal was not meant for your species. Why do you come?" Sarah looked at her crew, both men ready to risk everything for people they had never met. "Because it's the right thing to do, Commander. We're 8 hours out. Hold your position and keep your people safe. The humans are coming." As the Pioneer slipped away from Sentinel-7 and into the darkness of space, Sarah felt the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders. They were about to face impossible odds with minimal resources. But they were human, and humans had a long history of doing the impossible when it mattered most. The stars ahead held both danger and hope. Somewhere in that vast darkness, 3 million souls were counting on them to be more than just observers. They were about to find out what humanity was truly capable of when pushed to the limit. The journey to save the Kalari had begun. Into the unknown a pioneer cut through space like a ghost, its stealth systems bending light around the hull. Commander Sarah Chun gripped the armrests of her command chair as they approached the coordinates broadcast by the Kalari fleet. What they found there defied her worst fears. "My God," Jake whispered from the tactical station. Through the view screen, they could see a battle that had raged for hours. Massive Kalari transport ships, each one easily 10 times the size of the Pioneer, drifted in loose formation. Their elegant blue hulls were scarred with weapons fire, some venting atmosphere into the void. Surrounding them like hungry predators were the angular black warships of the Vorthak Empire. "Sensor readings, Marcus," Sarah ordered, her voice steady. Despite the horror before them, Dr. Webb's hands moved quickly across his console. 12 Kalari transport vessels, varying states of damage. Population scans show approximately 2.8 million life signs. That's down from the original 3 million. He paused, his face grim. 18 Vorthak warships in attack formation. There, methodically targeting the transport's engines and life support systems. "They're not trying to destroy them quickly," Jake observed, his tactical training evident. "They're prolonging it, making them suffer." Sarah watched as another burst of energy weapons struck one of the damaged transports. The ship's shields flared and failed, leaving it defenseless. This wasn't warfare. This was torture on a massive scale. "Commander Chun," a voice crackled through the communication system. "This is Fleet Commander Zara. We have been monitoring your approach. Are you certain you wish to engage? Your vessel appears to be ... quite small." Sarah activated the reply channel. "Commander Zara, this is Sarah Chun. Size isn't everything. What's your current situation? Our defensive fleet was destroyed 6 hours ago. We are civilian transports with minimal weapons. Our shields are failing one by one. We estimate less than 4 hours before complete system failure across the fleet." 4 hours. Sarah looked at her crew. Jake was running tactical assessments, his young face set with determination. Marcus was deep in the alien communication protocols, trying to find any advantage they could exploit. "Commander Zara, we're going to need to work together. Can you establish a secure channel between our ships?" "Establishing now. But I must ask again, why do you risk your lives for strangers?" The question hung in the air. Sarah thought about her daughter back on Earth, about the future they were trying to build among the stars. "Because someone has to, Commander, and today that someone is us." Within minutes, they had established communication with the Kalari fleet. Sarah found herself face to face with Commander Zara on the main screen. The Kalari was tall and graceful, with pale blue skin and large, intelligent eyes that held a mixture of hope and desperation. "Commander Chun, I do not understand your species' motivation, but I am grateful. However, I fear there is little you can do. The Vorthak have us completely surrounded." Sarah studied the tactical display. The Vorthak ships were arranged in a classic siege formation, preventing any escape while maximizing their firepower advantage. It was textbook military strategy, designed to crush any hope of resistance. "Marcus, tell me about Kalari shield technology," Sarah said. Webb pulled up the data they had gathered. "Highly advanced adaptive shields. They can reconfigure to defend against different types of energy weapons. The problem is, they're running out of power." An idea began to form in Sarah's mind. "Commander Zara, what if we could transfer power to your shield systems?" "Impossible. Our technology is not compatible with yours." "Maybe not directly, but Marcus here is the best communications engineer in the fleet. If anyone can find a way to bridge that gap, it's him." Marcus looked up from his console, his eyes bright with possibility. Actually, Commander, there might be a way. The Kalari use crystalline matrix power cores. If we can modulate our reactor output to match their frequency. How long would that take? Sarah asked. Give me 2 hours, maybe 3. Sarah shook her head. We don't have 3 hours. The Vorthik are closing in. She turned back to the screen. Commander Zara, we need to buy time. Is there any way to make your ships less of a target? Our engines are too damaged for evasive maneuvers. We are, as you humans say, sitting ducks. Jake suddenly looked up from his station, excitement in his voice. Commander, what if we don't run from them? What if we make them come to us? Sarah turned to face him. Explain. The asteroid field, 2 million kilometers from here. If we could get the Kalari ships into those asteroids, the Vorthik would lose their formation advantage. They'd have to engage in close quarters, where numbers matter less. Commander Zara shook her head. Our ships are too large and damaged to navigate an asteroid field safely. But ours isn't, Sarah said, the plan crystallizing in her mind. The Pioneer can guide you through. We know these asteroids better than anyone. It's incredibly dangerous. Marcus warned. One wrong move and those transport ships could be torn apart. Asterisk, they're going to be torn apart anyway if we don't try, Sarah replied. She looked at Commander Zara. It's your choice, Commander. Stay here and face certain destruction, or take a chance with us. Zara was quiet for a long moment, consulting with her officers off-screen. Finally, she returned her attention to Sarah. Very well, Commander Chun. We will follow your lead. But I pray to the ancient stars that your plan works. So do I, Sarah murmured under her breath. The next hour was a nightmare of precision flying. The Pioneer led the massive Kalari transports toward the asteroid field, weaving between chunks of rock and ice while Vorthik fighters harassed their flanks. Sarah's hands were steady on the controls, but sweat beaded on her forehead as she guided nearly 3 million souls through a maze of death. Incoming fighters on our 6, Jake called out. They're trying to disable our engines. Not today, Sarah replied, rolling the Pioneer into a spiral that would have made a fighter pilot proud. The small research vessel danced between asteroids, using the rocky cover to break line of sight with their pursuers. Behind them, the Kalari transports followed with surprising grace for such massive vessels. Their pilots were skilled, threading the needle between asteroids that seemed barely large enough for their ships to pass through. We're entering the dense field now, Marcus announced. Vorthik capital ships are holding back. They won't risk damage to their hulls in here. Perfect, Sarah said. Commander Zara, bring your fleet to full stop behind that large asteroid cluster, the one that looks like a broken moon. As the Kalari ships took position, Sarah felt a moment of satisfaction. They had gained time and tactical advantage. But the real challenge was just beginning. Marcus, how's that power transfer system? Coming? Getting close. The Kalari have been feeding me their technical specifications. I think I can create a resonance bridge between our reactor and their shield matrices. On the screen, Commander Zara looked more hopeful than she had since their first contact. Commander Chun, your species continues to surprise me. No one has ever attempted what you are doing. We're just getting started, Sarah replied. Jake, what's our tactical situation? The Vorthik have pulled back to the edge of the asteroid field, but they're not leaving. They're waiting for us to make a mistake, Sarah nodded. It was a standoff, but one that favored the defenders. The asteroids provided cover and limited the enemy's ability to use their superior numbers. Now they just needed to make the impossible work. Commander, Marcus called out, his voice filled with excitement. I've got it. The power transfer system is ready. We can boost their shields, but it will drain our reactor significantly. Do it, Sarah ordered without hesitation. Pioneer's engines dimmed as power flowed to the Kalari ships. One by one, their shields began to strengthen, glowing brighter against the darkness of space. "It's working!" Commander Zara exclaimed. "Our shield strength is increasing across the fleet." But their celebration was short-lived. Long-range sensors detected movement at the edge of the system. More Vorthic ships were arriving, including massive dreadnoughts that dwarfed even the Kalari transports. "How many?" Sarah asked, though she dreaded the answer. Jake's voice was grim. 30 more. Ships, including 6 dreadnoughts. "Commander, we're looking at a full battle fleet." Sarah stared at the tactical display, her mind racing. They had saved the Kalari from immediate destruction, but the enemy was bringing overwhelming force to bear. The asteroid field wouldn't protect them from that kind of firepower. Options, people. I need options. Marcus looked up from his console. I might have something. While I was interfacing with the Kalari systems, I detected something interesting about the Vorthek communications. They're using an old encryption protocol, something I've seen before. Where? The Meridian conflict. The Separatists use the same base code. If I can crack it, we might be able to listen in on their battle plans. Sarah felt a spark of hope. Information was power, and right now they needed every advantage they could get. How long? Give me an hour. Sarah looked at the approaching enemy fleet on the display. An hour might be more time than they had. But sometimes, in the darkest moments, humanity found a way to shine brightest. Get to work, Marcus. All of you. We're going to show these Vorthic what happens when they threaten. Innocent people in front of humans.